Before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to take a quick moment, because you know I'm going to take a quick moment to just express my gratitude. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's been listening and watching the podcast. It makes me so happy. So thank you. And on that note, let's get into the episode. Welcome to another episode of Chozen the Podcast. I'm your host, Made, and I wanted to start this off by doing a little self-check-in. So I want you guys to tune in right now and ask yourself, how am I doing? How am I doing really? And the reason I want you to do that is because I want to ask you how you're doing, but I know I won't get an answer, so I want you to ask yourself. Okay, if I can be honest, I'm feeling very fragile because if you've watched or listened to the last episode, you know that I lost a friend that is very dear to my heart. I found out last week that someone I love so much passed, and I've been dealing with loss and grief all week. And grieving is so complex and so layered in emotions, and I think I want us to talk about grief today because I truly believe there is a way to transform the pain we're feeling when we're grieving into something positive. And so I want us to talk about that. But before we do that, I want us to check in on the last couple of weeks, because a couple of weeks ago, I asked you guys to really celebrate yourself. I asked you guys to treat yourself, to do something nice for you. So did you do it? How did it go? For me, I went shopping. I was like, girl, I'm going to take myself shopping because I deserve it. I was feeling a little bit low, and I thought, you know what? Let me get a couple of nice summer pieces and make myself feel good. And it did feel good, and I didn't overdo it. I was really proud of myself because I didn't go crazy. I didn't go overboard. Just bought a couple of things, you know? I hope you did it. I think it's super important to celebrate ourselves. I think we are so demanding of ourselves. We always want to overperform. We want to do everything right. We're always so focused on things outside of ourselves. So I think it's really nice every now and then to go like, wait, I deserve to be celebrated. I deserve to be acknowledged for everything I'm doing. And sometimes we don't have to wait to be celebrated or acknowledged by others. We can do that for ourselves. So that was the whole point of the assignment 2 weeks ago. And last week, we talked about addiction, and I shared with you my story with addiction, and it was extremely vulnerable for me to do this. So I want to thank you guys for just allowing me the space to do it. And yeah, it's not a part of my life that I overexpose or overshare, but I'm also not ashamed of it because it is part of my story. It is part of my journey, and it made me the person I am today. But it is still a vulnerable part of me to share. So I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me the space to do this. And now let's talk about grief and how we can transmute the feelings of grief into something that's very empowering and very positive. Because I think when we're grieving, sometimes it can feel like we're losing a part of ourselves. And there is a way to reclaim that part and turn it into something like that gives us so much strength and so much power. Like I said, I lost someone that is very dear to my heart. I found out a week ago, and I had never experienced loss in that way. I've had family members that have passed, like grandparents and that sort of thing, but someone that was my age and someone I've known my whole life, with whom I shared a lot of intimacy and connection and love. We had like a really long and beautiful love story and all of that. It was the first time I was experiencing grief in that way. And it is, it's not done. I'm still in the grieving process. It is very challenging. I go through phases. One moment I'm doing great, and then the next I hear something or see something that reminds me of him, and then I start crying in the grocery store or walking my dog. There's a lot of emotions in grief, and I had a moment this week where I had been crying for a couple of days at this point, and I hadn't been, productive and doing the things I needed to do. And I really thought, okay, I need to do this. I'm going to clean the house. I'm going to motivate myself. Like, I'm going to be okay. And as I was about to start cleaning the house, I broke down in tears on my kitchen floor. And I was like, I don't know how I can do this. I'm trying not to cry right now, okay? Bear with me. Whew, okay. I was like, I don't know how I can do this. And I heard a voice, and it felt like it was coming from him or from inside me or a mix of both. I heard a voice that said, use me. Use me. Use the pain. Use everything you're feeling. Use the love I'm sending you from above. Use me. Use this. All of this. Use it. And I was like, whoa, okay, use it. I can use it. Emotions, energy can be transformed. Everything can be, it's alchemy, right? Like, we're little alchemists. We can transform the things we're feeling into things that benefit us, into things that work for us, that empower us, right? So as I sat there on my kitchen floor, I thought, okay, I get it. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use these emotions as, it's weird, but like my superpower in a way. And this can be applied to any type of grief, whether it be the loss of a loved one or a pet, whether it be grieving the loss of a relationship or a friendship or a romantic partnership, the loss of a career or a job change, or even the loss of a part of yourself, like a chapter in your story and you've moved on to something else, or if you've let go of a part of you that was no longer serving you, like you might be grieving that. So in all these different types of grief, that pain that comes with grieving can be utilized into something that is positive and empowering and beautiful. And it's hard, but we can do it. And I think the first thing we need to do in order to do this is to allow ourselves to feel all of these emotions, all of these feelings, because we have a tendency as human beings now to not really allow ourselves to feel fully. It's like we want to glance over feelings. We want to get that part over with quick. We're like, okay, I don't got time to feel. I'm busy. I got shit to do. Like, no. Oh, what is this? I'm feeling things. Shut it down. Like, it's crazy that we do that, because this is the very thing that makes us human. If we're not feeling, then what are we here for? Like, truly. This, like, being able to feel emotions and process emotions and transmute emotions is the very thing that makes us human beings. And yet we want to avoid it. I will never understand that. As painful as feelings are, they are necessary for transformation. So allow yourself to feel. When you're grieving, go through the whole process. And if you look at the different stages of grieving, there's a whole lot of feelings that come into that. There will be shock and denial and anger and bargaining and this and that. I think there's 7 stages, and then you come to acceptance. But you can't skip all of this and get to acceptance. You need to feel. You need to feel it in order to be able to use it and transform it. So that's the number one thing. Feel your feelings. Please allow yourself to cry. It's so therapeutic to cry. It's so purging to cry. And it's like we wanna hide sometimes that we're crying. Like, we don't want to cry in public, for example. It's like, no, I would look crazy if I cried in public. When I found out the news, I was walking down the street and I just couldn't hold it. Like, I just exploded in tears. Like, I'm gonna cry again, Jesus. I just exploded in tears in the middle of the street, and a part of me was so ashamed. Like, a part of me wanted to hide my face. I was like, oh my God, everyone's gonna look at me and go like, whoa, what is wrong with her? But I was like, fuck it, man. Like, honestly, fuck it. Like, there was no hiding it. There was no holding it. And so I just cried my whole walk home. And I was like, man, this is where I'm at right now. World, like, sorry, not sorry. This is me just being human. This is me dealing with something very tragic at the moment. So it's okay. It's okay. Like, we shouldn't be ashamed of having emotions. And the thing with grieving is that the reason why it's so painful, it's because it's full of love. It's love trying to express itself through you in a different sort of way, because it's love for something that you've lost or that you're in the process of losing. And that's why it feels so painful. But it wouldn't be that painful if there wasn't love to begin with. So we have to try to focus on that love and be grateful that that love was there for however long it was in your life, no matter, like, depending on what it is you're grieving. And I think it's important to remember that the grieving process is going to be so unique from person to person. For some people, they might move through it very quickly, and for other people, it can take years, and that's okay. And that's okay. The grieving process belongs to you. So how can we do that? How can we start the process of transmutation and transformation of these painful feelings and all that grief and all these intense emotions that we're feeling? I'm going to share with you guys what has been working for me, what I'm discovering right now that has been really helpful. I'm very much in the process right now of doing that, and so I'm finding the ways that work for me, so I can share that with you right now. Maybe it's going to be helpful to you depending on what you're dealing with. But the first thing for me has been to truly sit with my feelings and allowing the feelings to pass through my body without any judgment, and holding a lot of space for everything that comes. And when I start to feel overwhelmed or really sad, I just start pouring gratitude on these feelings. Like, I don't want to say the negatives and positive feelings, because I think there's no such thing. I think feelings are just feelings. They're just different. There is no bad or good feelings, right? But when I start to feel something overwhelming like sadness, I just like to pour gratitude on top of that and just say, thank you for allowing me to feel this. Thank you for reminding me of the love that I had for this person. And so that, I guess that could be the number two, right? Number one, allowing yourself to feel. Number two, pouring gratitude on these feelings. And then number three is to just like really allow for the transformation to occur by acknowledging that everything in life is energy. Nothing really ever dies. It just transforms. It just goes into another cycle of life. Like, there's no real ending. Everything that feels like an ending is only a new beginning. So if you acknowledge that and embrace that, embrace the fact that even, say, if you're grieving the loss of a relationship or a career change or the loss of a person, these things have not truly ended. They've just gone into a new cycle. A relationship ending means that a new relationship will begin. The loss of a loved one in this physical realm only means that now this person is energy and can be even closer to you. Like, that's what my experience has been like. I had lost touch with my friend in the last couple of years, and now I feel him with me all the time. I feel his love and I feel his energy all the time. So I'm like, right, you're not gone. You're not gone. You're just here in a different way. You've just transitioned into something that worked for you. And that's the thing, like, when it comes to losing a person, when a loved one crosses over, selfishly, we think, no, they should still be here. We want them here with us. But who's to say that their soul contract was to be here as long as we were? We don't have agency over that. We don't decide that. So when I think of my friend, I go, man, I wish he was still here. But also I go, hey, maybe he did what he had to do in the physical world, and now he had something else to experience. Who am I to want him here still? Who am I to be like, no, I don't want to let him go. I can't do that. This is not my journey, it's his. And his journey now is in the form of energy. It's in the form of his essence that will live on forever. And like I said, I know he's not gone. I can feel him. So no matter what it is that you're grieving or going through, you can remind yourself that there's never any real endings. There is transitions. There is transformation. There is new beginnings, new births. For something to begin again, something has to end. It's just a life cycle, right? So that's something that has been very helpful to me. It's just to remind myself of that. And no matter what it is that we're grieving, we can always connect back to it for guidance or for support. Because like we said, like everything is energy. Nothing ever really ends. So the thing we're grieving is always going to be a part of us in some way. So why not use it to propel us? Why not use it to our advantage? When we're feeling overwhelmed or really sad or like it's weighing so much on you and we're struggling, we can connect back to it and go, hey, what are you trying to teach me? What's the guidance here? What is it that I'm missing? What do I need to know? Or just help me. Support me. I need you right now. And the answers will come if you let them. Because like we said, we're little alchemists, so we can totally utilize all of these energies. And another thing that has been super helpful to me has been to celebrate and honor the transition, as hard as it is. And trust me, I know it's hard to celebrate something that feels so painful. But when it comes to the loss of a loved one especially, your loved one doesn't want you sad, doesn't want you crying, doesn't want you to stop your life, doesn't want you miserable. They don't. When I think of my friend, I know he doesn't want me on my kitchen floor crying. I know that. And also, I want to celebrate him. I want to celebrate and honor his life and the person that he was. And that's the thing, like, I never want to think of him as in the past. I don't want to say because I loved him, because I love him. He is still here and he deserves to be celebrated. Love has no ceilings. The love didn't end because he's not here physically. So I still have a lot of love for him and I want to honor him and celebrate him. So in the midst of all my tears this week, I was like, okay, you're gonna have a dance party. You're gonna put you guys' favorite song on and you're gonna freaking dance. And this was a very messy dance party. I cried the whole way through. It was really sad. But I forced myself to do it because I was like, I want that for him. I want him and I right now to energetically dance together and celebrate our relationship, celebrate what we had, celebrate who he is, celebrate where he's at right now, celebrate all of it. And I know it sounds crazy to say when you're feeling so much pain. Oh, well, right, like how do you expect me to celebrate the loss of something that was so dear to me or of someone that was so dear to me? But it's important because it's part of just honoring the person or the thing or the situation or the relationship that meant so much for you. And then something else I've been doing is to really visualize all the pain as something dark, like a dark color. I close my eyes and I see all the pain that's inside of me as a very dark color. And I picture myself transforming it into light, into something that's gold and bright and expanding and shiny. So I really see the transformation inside of me take place and around me. So this sort of cloud of darkness that's surrounding me because of all the pain I've been feeling, slowly I'm seeing it in my mind transform into something that's like almost electric, like electricity, giving me fuel and giving me like electric charges to give me power. So I think if you really try and visualize that, give your pain a color and imagine it change into this really powerful, bright, glowing golden color and let that surround you. I think visualization is so powerful. So this is what I've been doing this week to really help me deal with the grief and to transmute all of this pain into love, because this is what it's about. This is about love. There is no pain without love. It's not about processing our feelings quickly so we can finally get rid of them or stop thinking about them. We can finally move on. It's not about that. It's about utilizing the most beautiful and powerful life force, which is love, and let that propel us and become our superpower. Because when you're grieving, it means that you've lost something that you deeply cared about. So don't lose yourself on top of that. So this brings us to this week's assignment, and I really, really hope you guys do it, because I did this yesterday and it was so needed and so helpful. Yesterday was my friend's funeral, and because I live in another city, I couldn't attend in person. So I decided to have a ceremony of my own at home, and it made me feel so connected to him, and it really helped me to move through a lot of these emotions I was feeling. So this is what I want you guys to do. No matter what it is that you're grieving, or it could be something from your past that you never fully took the time to grieve, I want you to set some time aside this week, a couple hours, and have a proper grieving ceremony. Okay? I'm going to share with you what I did, but feel free to make it your own. This is your moment. So whatever feels right is what you should do. So the number one thing I did was to set the tone. I lit some candles and some incense. I purified the air. You could do sage or Palo Santo, or if you have a diffuser with essential oils, something like that. And then I put on handpan drum music, because this sound to me is so comforting yet grounding at the same time. So if you have a favorite instrument, or maybe it could be nature sounds or binaural beats, something like that. I think something without lyrics is better, but again, this is up to you. So once I had set the tone, what I did was to pull up a visual. I put up a photo of him on my laptop and I made it full screen, because this helped me to really feel connected to him. So if you have a visual of the person you're grieving, or the pet, or the relationship, or it could be a photo of you if you're grieving a part of yourself that you had to let go of, it could totally be a photo of yourself, but I think having an image can be really, really helpful. So once I had all of these elements, I sat down and I wrote him a letter. And in this letter, I wrote everything that was on my heart and on my mind. I shared all the things that I had never told him, the things I wanted him to know, but I was holding on to. I shared the things I missed about him. I literally poured my heart into this letter, and I want you to do that. Write freely, write openly, without any limits, no restrictions. Just go for it. Pour all of your feelings in this letter. And when you're done, if you have a visual, you're going to look at the visual and read your letter out loud. And if you don't have a visual, it's okay. You can still imagine it. But reading the letter out loud, if possible, is so beautiful and so powerful. And then what I did is, like, I literally just looked at his face, looked at his picture, and I talked to him for an hour. About everything, about nothing and everything. And I asked him questions, and I could just feel the answers sometimes. And it may sound silly to have a chat with a photo for an hour, but man, it was such a beautiful moment, and I needed that moment with him. So allow that. Forget the judgment. Forget like how it might look. This is between you and whatever you're grieving, right? And so after that, after the hour-long chat, I found a grieving meditation on YouTube, a guided one, and I put it on and I laid down and I allowed myself to be guided. And that can be such a powerful thing, because honestly, I was able to see him and to hold him, and I really suggest you do that. There are beautiful guided meditations on YouTube that are specifically geared towards grief. So this was like a huge part of the ceremony yesterday that was very, very beneficial for me. And after the meditation is the celebration. And I know it may sound like a hard thing to do, especially when you're feeling so much pain, but trust me, it is necessary to end your ceremony on a positive, joyful note. So what I did was I had put together a little playlist with our favorite song and some other songs, and I put it on, and I had a dance party in my kitchen, and I cried and danced at the same time, and it was such a magical moment because I could feel his energy with me, and there was no other way for me to wrap up the ceremony, honestly. And if you're not into dancing, that's okay. Find something else that brings you joy when you think of the person or situation or relationship that you're grieving, and bring that into your ceremony. It could be a type of food, it could be stand-up comedy or a type of activity. I don't know. It's for you to decide, but find a way to end your ceremony on a positive, celebratory note. So yeah, this wraps up today's episode. I want to thank you guys again for choosing yourselves and choosing me by watching this episode. This is so important for me. This podcast is really dear to my heart. So I just want to honor you for being here. And again, I am very, very grateful to each and every one of you. And I will see you guys next week for another episode of Chozen the Podcast.